How's it going, guys? Cameron here, the Canadian Gamer, coming at you with another video. Today we are giving you a little bit of a off-the-cuff review, more of a final thoughts on Uncharted 3 Drake's Deception. Now, if you've been following along on the channel, I've been ripping right through the Uncharted games. I played Uncharted 2 a couple of weeks ago, finished it. Took me a little bit longer to get through Uncharted 3. So, a lot of you want to know my final thoughts on this game. So I guess the big elephant in the room, just cut to the chase here. I guess the general consensus is from professional reviewers, YouTubers, and gamers alike, is that while this is a really good game, most people would suggest that Uncharted 2 is the better game. Usually the first game is at the bottom. Number 3 is the next best game. And then it's a toss-up as to whether or not the fourth game in the series right here, or the second game, is the number one spot. And when you could fill out the other spots with the other two games, Golden Abyss and Lost Legacy, is that what it's called? The standalone DLC for this game as well. We're getting ahead of ourselves here, but yeah. So Uncharted 3, it's kind of like Back to the Future in a way. It's like Back to the Future 3. Yeah, it's a good movie, but I think most people would agree the second Back to the Future movie, Back to the Future 2, is the better of the three movies. A lot of people would say Back to the Future, the original film, is the best one, but for me, the second one is my favorite. And again, very similar with the Uncharted games, right? Not quite sure if I like the first one more than the second. I'm not quite sure, personally speaking. That being said, I really enjoyed Uncharted 3. I thought, for the most part, it was just as good as the second one. I think, and this is just personal opinion, I think the reason why the second one resonates with people more than the third one, a couple of reasons. There was really good character dynamics in the second game, because you not only had a lot of chapters involving Sully, but you also had Chloe and his other side piece there as well. What's her name? Alicia? I can't even remember her name. Whereas on Uncharted 3, not so much. Most of it, you're just playing as Drake by yourself. Quite a few chapters involving Sully as well, especially towards the end. And I think the other thing too, maybe this is polarizing to say, but a lot of games that came out in and around this time, around 2011, took place in Syria. And this game is no exception. It takes place in Syria. And for a lot of us, that whole area, as far as not politics is concerned, but video game media is concerned, it's sort of worn out its welcome, because a lot of first-person shooters that took place in Syria, other games as well. Whereas, Uncharted 2, it felt more like you were on vacation, more exotic locations in the jungle and things like that. Whereas when you're playing this game and it takes place in Syria, now there are a lot of cool chapters, especially at the beginning there where you're in that castle. That was really good. But once you get into the desert, it's like it kind of drags on a bit. The chapter where you're on the boat, really, really cool. Again, it kind of drags on. After that, the whole scene involving the airplane where you're hanging on for dear life and then you fall off the airplane, that was incredible. Again, hard to believe Naughty Dog was able to pull off these huge set pieces on PS3 hardware. And just to jump back to the chapter involving the castle, the lighting in that chapter where everything's kind of lit blue, it looks so good. That baked lighting looks so good on the PS3. The game is 22 chapters long, so I think Uncharted 2 is 27. But that being said, I found the chapters, for the most part, were longer in this game than Uncharted 2. Maybe I'm wrong, but that's what it felt like to me. There's a bit of discussion in the community as to whether or not this was a rushed project. Now, you got to remember, Uncharted, the first game, I think it came out in 2007? And then Uncharted 2 came out 2 years later in 2009. And so they had equal amount of development time for this game because it came out in 2011. But around this time, Naughty Dog was starting to develop The Last of Us. So it's my understanding the original dev team that worked on Uncharted 2 got kind of cut in half. So there wasn't as much manpower involved with Uncharted 3 because a lot of, again, the team moved on to work on The Last of Us at the very same time. That's my understanding of it. But when you play the game, for the most part, it doesn't really feel like it's anything sort of rushed. It seems every bit as epic as Uncharted 2. I do find there are certain areas of the game, and I've talked about this before, but there's certain video games that are meant for you to be able to just run along from checkpoint to checkpoint to checkpoint, and the developers don't necessarily want you to stop and admire the details. And when you do that, and this game is no exception, everything looks amazing when you're running along, but if you stop and you walk up to certain textures, especially at the very beginning when you're running through, I think it's Cuba or Mexico, you're running along in there, if you stop to really look at some of the details like the bananas and the oranges and things like that, the textures don't really look very good. Again, they look fine when you're just running past them, but if you stop to take a look, or you go down an alleyway that maybe you're not supposed to go down, and you take a look at certain things. I remember at the beginning of the game, I came across a locked gate, okay? I kid you not. The lock on the gate was about the size of Nate's head. It was gigantic. It was out of proportion. It didn't make any sense. But again, if you were looking at the gate from a distance, the lock didn't look like that. It was only once you walked right up to the gate. So just things like that. Again, this is sort of a product of the time. This is an older game. Came out on PS3 hardware. But I have to mention it, right? I really did enjoy the beginning of the game. It's kind of like an origin story where you're playing as a younger Nathan Drake. And you have to, again, you're in, I think it's Mexico. You have to break into a museum. Well, you don't have to, but... You break into a museum and you're trying to steal this family heirloom, I believe it is. And again, you get to see the development of how Nate met Sully, and I thought it was really well done. I really enjoyed it. At the end of the game, there's like a psychedelic sequence in the desert, and it comes to a headway where you end up back in that area where you were at the beginning of the game. And I really, really enjoyed it. I am not one of those that would say, no, this isn't as good as the second one. They're like right there. They're right there. We're nitpicking, right? We're nitpicking. Even the very last chapter in this game was amazing. I thought it was really good. The graphics are on point. In this game, they've incorporated the ability for your clothes to get wet. So when you jump into a river or a lake or a pond, you get out, you're completely soaking wet. That was really cool. There's a lot of, what do you call it? Not a lot, but degradation. Is that how you say it? So like if you're walking through the desert, you can see your footprints in the sand. Very much like, I think it was Uncharted 2, where you were walking in the snow, and the snow would, when you were up in the mountain, the snow would show your footprints as well. So again, you didn't really see a whole lot of that in video games back then. I think Grand Theft Auto 5 may have been the rare exception where you saw that as well. But yeah, all that being said, it was a really good game. It took me about a week and a half to beat it. I don't really have any negative things to say about it. Honestly, guys, I don't. I found the over-the-shoulder sort of point of view when you're shooting your gun, not really a huge fan of that. I feel like the second game wasn't... Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. I can't remember. Was it the first game or the second game? There wasn't so much of an emphasis on when you shoot your gun. It was over the shoulder. Whereas in this game, it is. Not really crazy on that, to be honest with you. I didn't see there was an option for auto aim in Uncharted 3. And I found using the analog sticks on the PS3 controller, it was very hard to pinpoint where you wanted to shoot. I found it was very touchy, and I tried to play around with the sensitivity in the menu, and that didn't make it any better. It actually made it worse, to be honest with you. But yeah, no, all that being said, it's amazing. It's an amazing game. a PlayStation experience that we did not get on the Xbox. And I know everybody's got, again, their own personal opinions on where they rank this in the Uncharted series. But for me, honestly, guys, the whole time I was playing the game, I kept saying to myself, okay, is this worse than Uncharted 2 and why? I kept saying that. But as I got further and further and further into the game, the less I started thinking about that, and the more I just thought about how much I was really enjoying this game. So, again, you're splitting hairs at this point. I think it just comes down to the locale being in Syria, not as enjoyable as some of the environments in Uncharted 2. And I do feel taking Chloe out of the game, she's not in it as much as she was in Uncharted 2, kind of hurt the dynamics as well. She's a very likable character. She's hot as well, and it's easy to see why she got her own standalone DLC. And I would love to see Naughty Dog, if they're not going to give us another Uncharted starring Nathan Drake, give us one starring Chloe. That would be great. Or both girls. That would be amazing. That would be amazing. So, yeah, Uncharted 3, I'll probably give it a 9 out of 10. I came across a few glitches in the game, which maybe hold it back from getting a perfect 10. But other than that, yeah, it was amazing. So tonight, I'm going to go ahead and put on Uncharted 4. And a lot of you folks out there say that this is the best one in the series, so I guess we'll see. So this is the leap from the mighty PS3 to the PS4 Pro. So I am interested in checking out Uncharted 4. So that's it. Those are my final thoughts on Uncharted 3. I don't have much else to say about that. Graphics are amazing. Audio, music, controls. It really is a 10 out of 10 experience for the most part. And yeah, well, like I said, one of these days maybe I'll do a ranking video on the Uncharted series, but it's difficult. It's difficult. They're all bangers. My God. Anyways, that is going to do it for this video. I hope you guys are all doing well. Thanks so much for watching. Have a good night.